Well, hello again. I hope you have enjoyed your week. I don't know how many of you have Monday off, but if you do, I hope you enjoy the holiday. I guess it's school vacation for the little ones. So if you have a family, you may be taking this coming week off yourself. Once again, thank you to everyone who is participating in the discussions and who is doing the homework assignments. I think everybody did fairly well with the quiz. Just one bit of advice that I offered in the first video that I posted for you all to look at, and that is in terms of how you should approach an online course. I got a couple of emails from some people after the test had closed saying, oh my gosh, I forgot, this happened, that happened. And while, as I said before, I'm certainly sympathetic, in order for me to be fair to everybody, I really can't say, okay, you can take the test. You can take the test now because I don't know who out there managed to get it done in the face of working a double or something happened. So once again, my advice to you is if you need to block out specific time in your week, even though this is not a class that you are physically going to, you do need to block out some specific time in your week to do the reading, to see what the work has to be, and make sure you get it done. At the same time, I would just caution those of you who have gotten a little bit ahead of the assignments. I try to post assignments a couple of weeks ahead so that you can have a sense of what the workload is going to be. That doesn't mean that you have to do them. That certainly doesn't mean that I'm going to read them. I'm going to correct things as we go along. So if you're a couple of weeks out, I won't be, grading the assignments until we get to that week. This is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. So you're under no obligation if you see an assignment up to go ahead and do it. So please don't feel like you're obligated to do it. This week, you're going to be learning about managing relationships. One of the last things you read about in the previous chapter was some of the things that define public relations. And one of the major things that defines public relations for marketing and advertising is the responsibility for managing relationships. Think about it. The folks in advertising, the folks writing the copy, the folks producing the ads, they're not thinking about relationships. They're not thinking about day-to-day contact with customers or employees. Generally speaking, the folks in marketing aren't thinking about the day-to-day contacts with customers, aren't necessarily thinking about the company image. Now, that's not to say that marketing, is not concerned with customer relations. I think one of the unappreciated parts of marketing, then in terms of an organization chart, isn't really part of the marketing function, is distribution. If the distribution side of an organization doesn't come through, marketing's in trouble. Think about if you're an Apple store and you have told your customers that the latest iPhone is going to be available at midnight on a particular day. And, the line is around the block 3 or 4 times. Think about what's going to happen. Think about what's going to happen if you have to go out at midnight and say to those folks around the block a couple of times, gee, I'm sorry, but we don't have the phone yet. Okay, so yes, it's a distribution function, but it's also a marketing function as well. The goal of maintaining relationships between an organization, a for-profit or a not-for-profit, relationships between you and your publics, however you happen to define them, is to create an equal partnership. A partnership where the customers feel, in the end, they can trust you. That you are an organization that's dependable, that you are an organization that's competent, that you are an organization, that stands behind what it is that you do. Think about Amazon. If we have an issue with something we ordered from Amazon and we have to pick up the phone and call Amazon, do we have a lot of fear and trepidation? Do we sit back and say, oh God, I've got to call Amazon. This is going to be painful? No, of course not. because we know Amazon is dependable. We know Amazon is competent. We know Amazon stands behind its products. We know when we pick up the phone and call Amazon, generally speaking, we're not going to be on hold for 20 minutes. We're going to get somebody who knows what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, they're going to pass us on to someone who does, and the situation is resolved in a very quick period of time. Now, with all due respect to anyone who may have a connection with a cable company, think about how we feel if we have to call our local cable provider. Do we have that same kind of confident feeling when we call our cable provider that we do when we call Amazon? Sadly, the answer is probably no. If we have to call the cable company, we sit back and we think, oh God, I've got to deal with, who knows how long I'm going to be on hold. Who knows how many people I'm going to have to deal with. Who knows how many times they're going to ask me, well, did you unplug it for a minute? And then did you plug it back in? And then did you do this and you did that? When, heck, we did it before we started calling them, right? Okay, so there's a difference there in the relationship, okay? And I'll give, cable companies credit. They're trying to do better. They've realized that, they've made a mistake in dealing with customer relationships. I mean, quite frankly, they're the only game in whatever town you happen to be in. But bottom line is, how many times have we said, God, I wish I could get a new cable company? As opposed to how many times we've said, gee, I wish there was somebody other than Amazon I could deal with. That doesn't happen very much as well. So the goal is to have customer expectations met, to have customer expectations, to have customers say to themselves, you know what, this relationship is worth continuing. We have great relationships with Amazon, and that's a great example. I have a great relationship with LL Bean. There's an LL Bean store. I live on Cape Cod, some of you guys know. There's an LL Bean store in Mashpee, and I've loved LL Bean for years. And there's a store now in the Mashpee Commons, and I enjoy going in there. The people are competent. I buy things sometimes for my granddaughter without her being there. If I have to return them, it's no hassle. It's, can we get you another size? What else can we do for you? So I've decided that expectation is being met. In the end, it's about building trust. And one of the videos that are in my class slides for the upcoming week is about building trust. And I would encourage you to, as always, go through the class slides to watch that video. There's also, early on in the class slides, a link to a company that I used to work for called Enel, E-N-E-L. It's an international renewable energy company. I have a link to the website for the parent company, which is based in Rome. And I would just encourage you to look at the website and take a look at the different ways that Enel tries to be transparent. Enel tries to reach out to the customers. Enel tries to, explain what it is that it does and what it is that its goals are. They do a really great job, and it's one of the better websites that I've ever seen. So managing relationships with customers is certainly part of the equation for public relations. Obviously, managing relationships with the media is a huge part of managing the relationship management equation. And again, something that advertising, something that marketing isn't responsible for at all. In terms of the media, it's also an issue of trust. In terms of the news media, it's an issue of them believing that the information that you're providing them is newsworthy, that it's worth doing a story for, that the information that you're giving them, if they're calling with questions, is trustworthy. I think one of the most important things for a public relations professional to do in the media relations part of the function is to just be helpful. Sometimes, the news media is just looking for information. And if something happens in the news and you're able to provide some background information, maybe not even looking for a story, that's a huge plus. Bridgewater State University, when things happen in the news, I'm confident that the people in the communications department take a look at the roster of faculty people And if there's someone who was an expert in this particular part of the Middle East or this particular issue, that they're on the phone with the media saying, hey, if you need any background information, we have an expert here. Professor so-and-so has studied this, has lived there, has written a book, is a well-known author. Not necessarily looking for a story, but what happens is often it does turn into a story. And if it doesn't turn into a story that time, the reporter's going to remember that you were helpful. And the next time something comes up and they're looking for information, they're going to turn to you. Trust me, it works. That's what, that's what happens. It happened to me, countless times over the course of my career, doing media relations work. Another important part of the relationship management function is employees. People don't think about employees, but employees have to be on board. Employees have to understand what it is the company is all about. Employees have to understand, what the message is, what the company's mission is. So it's important to include employees in all the work that you do. And obviously, if you're a corporation, if you're a for-profit company, your investors, you want them to believe that their money is being well spent. You want them to believe that getting a good return on their investment, that you're making smart decisions. For nonprofits, you want to be sure that your donors believe that they are getting a good return on their investment, which is their donation, that their money is being used for exactly what it is you said it was going to be used for, that is providing quality service, that is providing the people that you said you were going to help with the help that you promised. And finally, the final part of the relationship management equation is something called corporate social responsibility. And corporate social responsibility is the commitment that a company makes, an organization makes, to devote resources to benefit the society, to benefit the community, and to benefit the environment. And again, if you would go back to the Enel website, you'll see a lot of really good examples of the company getting involved in communities in various ways. Again, international company going into local communities in countries big and small. Excuse me. And there's a video associated with corporate social responsibility that I would encourage you to view as well. So that's just a quick summary of what you're going to be reading about this week. Check in on the discussion. Please be sure to do the homework assignment. Enjoy the holiday if it's yours to enjoy. Other than that, enjoy the week, and we'll talk to you next week.